You ever send a final cut to a client and they reply with a paragraph of random changes? You fix every one and somehow they still don't trust you. They question pacing, nitpick transitions, and act like they know editing better than you. But the truth is, clients don't lose respect because they're rude. They lose respect when the editor gives up their authority without realizing it. When I first started, I thought saying yes was the way to make clients happy. But all it did was bury me under 20 to 30 changes, sleepless nights, and half of the changes made the video worse. It felt like there was a glass ceiling above my head that turned me into a creative slave, saying yes to everything just to avoid the conflict. And here's the kicker. When I was pissed, the audience was commenting, "Oh, the editing is great." Meanwhile, they don't know how much pain went into that edit. And that's when I realized saying yes doesn't build trust, it kills it. If you say yes to everything, you're gonna be like a substitute teacher. You're technically in charge, but no one respects you. And that lack of respect is what keeps editors stuck at $200 edits instead of working with six-figure clients. By the way, if you want to go deeper on stuff like this, I put together a free guide called The 12 Viral Editing Secrets. It should be mandatory viewing for every editor who wants to understand the psychology behind what keeps the audience watching. You can grab it for free. The link's in the description. Now, I'll be honest. At first, I didn't know how to say no to a client without feeling like I was going to get fired. The first time I tried it, my heart was pounding. The client was typing, and then he stopped typing, and then he kept typing again, and then he stopped, deleted it, and then typed again. I thought I was going to get fired. Then he finally sent the message, and I kid you not, this is what he actually said. "All right, F it, we ball." That's when the glass ceiling above my head finally shattered. Because if I could say no to a client with 7 million subscribers, then I could say no to anyone. But the real breakthrough came from when one of my students named Moog sent me a book called Never Split the Difference. It was written by an FBI hostage negotiator who was responsible for using these tactics to save people's lives. And the book blew me away because I realized the same psychology that works on armed robbers works on YouTubers. The biggest thing I learned was tactical empathy. Showing clients you hear their intent, and labeling, which is naming what they're actually worried about. For example, it sounds like you're worried about the pacing dragging here. The moment they hear that, their defenses lower. They feel heard. And suddenly, you have leverage. Now, at this point in my life, I had already discovered the human algorithm, which is the psychology of why viewers stay glued to the screen and why clients pay more for the editors who understand it. So I decided to build a 5-step formula to diffuse client feedback before it explodes. And it works almost every time. Rule number 1, hear them out first. Let them get everything out before you respond. Sometimes, if you let a client send a message to you, then don't respond for 10 minutes, they're gonna sit with their thoughts for a little bit like this. And they're gonna think, wait a minute, I'm wrong. And then they change their mind without you having to say anything. Rule number 2, understand their intent. You gotta show that you understand why they're asking for what they're asking for, not just what they're asking for. Rule number 3, explain the consequences of their request. You need to be able to logically explain why their decision will lead to retention loss, audience dissatisfaction, or a worse performing video. Rule number 4, offer a better solution, a version that hits their goal without hurting the edit. And rule number 5, keep it collaborative. Don't show insecurity. The moment the client realizes you're pushing back on the change only because you personally don't like it, you've lost all your leverage because now it's a game of whose opinion matters more. The key is in the wording. One time, a client asked me to add checklists across a 40-minute video. That would have been 3 hours of VFX work for almost zero benefit to the audience. But instead of saying no, I said, I'm totally fine adding checklists to the video. But I think for this particular edit, it may break immersion. Your audience loves you because you feel real, not corporate. Now the checklists look great in the other videos you do, but this video is a bit more intimate. Now that phrase, I'm totally fine with adding the checklist, is everything. I didn't reject him, but I also didn't fully say yes. I positioned myself as a partner, and because I did that, he said, all right, I trust you, let's skip it. Now, another tactic I love using is the calibrated no. I'm sure you've dealt with a client where you send the edit and they say, it's too long, cut it down, make it shorter. And you're just left to do all the grunt work. Now, instead of rejecting, I'll just ask, which parts specifically would you like to cut? Because when you put it back on them and ask them for specific timestamps, it flips the entire conversation. I've had clients swear up and down they could remove 8 minutes from a video, and then they watch the video multiple times and they can only cut out 2 minutes. And the best part about this tactic is that the client is going to trust my judgment quicker in the future. Now, if I would have just jumped into Final Cut Pro and started deleting everything like every other editor would, the video would have been gutted. But by giving the client a calibrated no, it allowed me to say no without ever saying no. But the smoothest technique I've ever used is what I like to call lawyer speak. Ooh, man. This is when a client gives you specific boxes to check, and you check off every single one, but you implement them in a way where it actually serves the audience. I remember one time a client told me to cut a part out of the video that was funny to me, but he said it slowed down the pacing of the scene. So I moved it out of the scene to satisfy his pacing request. But I put it at the end of the video after the outro as an outtake. Technically, I followed the note, but the audience still got the laugh. That's lawyer speak. Another variation is what I call the illusion of control. Instead of letting the client ruin the video with an absolutely unfathomable change, I give them two options, both of which I know will work. For example, if they're worried about a certain section of the video feeling low energy, I'll ask them, do you want me to speed up the music, or do you want me to cut some of the pauses in between sentences? Either way, the pacing gets fixed. Now the client feels like they decided, but I still guided the outcome. But here's the truth. Saying no only works if you have certainty. Certainty in audience psychology. Certainty in what clients really want versus what they think they want. Without it, you'll always feel like you're guessing, and you're always going to cave. Unless you've joined the Elite Editor Academy, which doesn't focus on retention hacks for the YouTube algorithm, but the human algorithm. Psychology, strategy, and the editing mindset that makes clients chase you, trust you, and pay you thousands more. And inside, you'll practice on raw footage from million-view videos and post your work inside a private community, the same place I scout editors for high-ticket jobs like Muhammad, who landed an opportunity with Airac, a creator with over 17 million subscribers. So if you're tired of wasting your time guessing what clients want, click the link in the description. Now, don't get me wrong. Saying no to a client is not going to take you from $2,000 a month to $10K overnight. But pushing back on changes builds your confidence muscle. That muscle bleeds into everything. How you enter a client call, how you negotiate your rates, how you talk to clients in general. When I first started editing, clients gave me all the direction. Now, new clients ask me how they should film, how they should structure segments, what's best for maximum retention and audience enjoyment. And the insane part is they make the changes instantly. That kind of trust doesn't come from saying yes all the time. It comes from mastering the psychology and earning the client's respect. So stop saying yes to every change. Start positioning yourself as a protector of the audience. That's the only way you'll move from $200 edits to $2,000 edits. And eventually, six-figure clients. Now you can keep trying to figure it out on your own, or you could shortcut years of trial and error. The free 12 Viral Editing Secrets will give you a taste of what works, but inside the Elite Editor Academy, I go deep into the full psychology, the negotiation strategies, and the client systems that turn editors into $3,000 per video professionals. If you've been saying yes because you don't know how to push back with confidence, this is where that changes. The editors who learn this framework finally stop guessing, start earning trust with clients, and finally start getting paid what their work is actually worth. Now, if you want to see what's really holding editors back, I asked 1,000 of them to send me their edits, and almost everyone was making the same mistakes that kill retention and keep them underpaid. And you can watch that video here.